States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ms. Daly, please note that we have 4 board members present. One being not Mrs. Black. We have an agenda before us. Are there any additions or modifications to the agenda? Hearing none. So I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it's by nay. Hearing none, motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item D, school improvement presentation, Trent Light Academy.
Hi, good evening.
Hey, there you go.
How do you? So nothing has really changed until you get to that indicator stage. Next month we'll have all that history data. Okay. So total enrollment is 551, traditional 551 has 0 to virtual. Our student ADA is at 93%. Chronic absences is down at 24%. Our teacher ADA is up 96%. Number of disciplines was down a little bit at 126, and average per day is 7. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Moving on to item E, school improvement presentation, Coleman Middle School.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And again, nothing has changed until we get to the indicators. We did have our benchmark 3 testing last week. Everything went well. We're excited about the outcome. So next board meeting, we'll have some information for you. Looking at total enrollment, we're still at 592. We have 1 student in virtual. Student ADA is at 92%, holding slightly where we were in February. We are up slightly with chronic absences at 30.4%. Teacher ADA is improved at 96%. Average discipline referrals 150 with 9.4 per day. And again, showing improvement from the previous month and trying to reduce that number even lower for the upcoming month. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Neal.
Thank you.
Item F, school improvement presentation, negotiating Miller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As we move on chart, indicators, that's. There we go. Scroll down to the indicators. There you go. Our enrollment dropped a little bit. We're at 463. Traditional is the same. We do not have any students that are enrolled in virtual. Our student ADA dropped a little bit. We're at 94.38. Our chronic absence has increased to 39.2. Our teacher ADA is up to 97.15. We had 106 referrals, which were averaging about 6.6 a day. And like to piggyback on Dr. Nix, we did take our final benchmark testing, and we're excited, and hopefully that will prove that we are on that continuum of improving. Any questions?
Thank you. All right, moving to G, school improvement presentation, Pascagoula-Gautier.
Thank you. Tara Payton, Principal Pascagoula High School, where we are kind, we have integrity, and we are determined to show excellence in everything we do. A slight decline in enrollment, 2 students, different 2 students are same 2 virtually enrolled students. Student ADA, a slight decline to 92%. Chronic absenteeism, a little bit of, not significantly, but still a little bit of a more actually, it's a good thing with chronic absenteeism, 21.4%, chronic absenteeism. Teacher, ADA 95.7, and our number of discipline referrals, 165, and that's a total about 10 per day. And I checked just to see what the difference was. It seems that our efforts with our tardy discipline referrals are working because we have a smaller percentage of tardies than we've had all year. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Lee. School improvement presentation, Bill Shai.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Our indicators, our enrollment is 865, traditional 862. We have 3 on virtual. Our student ADA was 91.47%. Chronic absences was 18.61%. Teacher ADA is going the right direction, it's up to 96.21%. And our discipline referrals, our average was, our just total referrals was 131. And our average per day, I guess, did not make the slide.
Should be about 8.18.
I will get that for you. 8.18.
Thank you, Ms. Stover.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on to item 5, COVID update leadership team.
Well, we are excited again. Last week we had 2 students. The 3 weeks prior to that, it seems like everything was 0, and then it would be on a Friday. And we do have 1 positive today, 1 positive staff member today. So we're hoping that for the remainder of the week, the kids are out. We're out on Friday. It's Professional Development Day on Thursday. So we're hoping the numbers stay just as they are.
I've been happy to see that number and every Friday we'll be getting, so I appreciate the update. Anything else? Move on to item J, District of Innovation, Dr. Melissa D'Angelo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Melissa D'Angelo, and I have Mr. Reed with me. We are officially a District of Innovation. We are the only district this year that earned that distinction. 2 other schools did earn the distinction in the state. I wanted to touch on just a couple of things that we're doing as a district. As you know, we focus a lot on career exploration and workforce development and college and career readiness, but there are a number of things that we're doing as a district. I just wanted to hit the high points. When we wrote our application, which is here, front and back, 117 pages. If anyone's interested, we'll happily send that to you digitally. We focused on workforce readiness, experience and exposure, closing the achievement gap and equity, acceleration, teacher retention, training and support, and SIOP training, emotional and mental health, career academies, and community partnerships. And everything that we're doing in our district falls within one of those categories. Some of the things that we're doing as a district that no other district on the coast or even in the state is doing right now. We have our Whole Child Initiative. We have Tech Camp for teachers. We're working on training every teacher in sheltered instruction, SIOP training. We did our alumni interview book study. We have the Seal of Biliteracy, the You Construct Lab, Pathways and Possibilities we participate in, the Leader in Me, Student Advisory, and the list goes on and on. We separated our projects and the progression that we have from pre-K to 5th grade, 6th through 8th grade, and then 9th through 12th grade. When we received some feedback on our application, we received the highest or second to highest rating. They commended everything that we're doing as a district. We did receive 1 waiver that I'll let Mr. Reed talk about and then touch on where we're going as a state and as a district when it comes to workforce development and career exploration. Yep.
So I got with Senior River Health System. They're one of our biggest partners, and we want to provide for health science students a pathway for nursing. So they've approved our waiver being after their first year of health science, those that want to go into nursing. would go straight to Singing River Health System for their junior, senior year, that block. And when they graduate, they'll have their LPN. Instead of graduating and going to JC, getting it that way, they'll go straight to work after high school as an LPN. And then there's pathways for them through Singing River that they'll pay for their BSN, MSN, or whatever else that they want to get advanced from that. That was a waiver we got. Workforce, we do have that starting back up at night in the building. Ingalls pulled out back in October, but we started our own through the Wind Job Center and Department of Labor, Department of Transportation. And I'm meeting with the Department of Labor, the internships we have for high school students, that we have roughly 120 students going out right now their senior year doing some form of internship. We're going to get those that are paid certified through the Department of Labor as an official apprenticeship for the state of Mississippi. So when students graduate, they'll get a certificate from the Department of Labor saying that they went through a certified apprenticeship program. So those things that we're doing that no one else is doing. And thanks to y'all and the support of the central office, just continue doing that and trying to get more.
And actually, Pascagoula-Gautier was the other district in the state of Mississippi that achieved that. They have a lab school at Mississippi State University, so we'll make sure that they're recognized as well. Law was passed this year, House Bill 1388. If you read that bill, it basically outlines many of the initiatives that we have created within this system, and including ACT work keys, career pathways, all those things we've been working on for 5 years now. So there won't be any going back to catch up. We're already there. Now it's time to start integrating it between the two high schools and the programming so that we provide as many pathways for students as we possibly can. So I just want to make sure y'all are aware that we're in a very good place with that right now.
What were those two schools again?
Pascagoula-Gautier High is a school district in North Mississippi. It's actually at Mississippi State. They have a lab school now at Mississippi State. It was us. We're the only two districts in the state of Mississippi. And then there are two individual schools that received this innovation designation as well.
Great job.
But there were a substantial number of applications because they had to delay the process for the number of applications that had been submitted. And we were fortunate enough to be selected as one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great achievement for the district, so good work. Thank you. Moving on, item K, Attorney General letter.
Yes, I want to share just a little bit of information with you. I know that the cell phone rate continues to rise every year. I want to make sure that the board understands that you're in a very good position as a board. There are a lot of districts that would like to unring the bell of having kids being able to carry their cell phones. We're aware that kids have concealed cell phones that never come out, and if they do, during instructional day, if we want to argue the point that, oh, well, these are used for technology devices, we're a one-to-one district. There's no need to pull a cell phone out in the school district for any reason. The letter that I've given you, and I'm not going to read it to you because you're capable of reading it yourself, but there are some pretty profound things that can occur with the use of cell phones at school. We currently don't have that happening, but I would say to my colleague, Dr. Malone, that whenever you're dealing with this sexploitation of children and you have to process a cell phone that has inappropriate pictures of children on it, none of our people can touch that. That's something that goes straight to Mr. Sessom. And right now we don't have the issue because that's not something that's brought out during our instructional day for any reason. And the way that you guys have supported that rule has been very good for us as a system in not having those types of events happen on a very regular basis. And I just wanted to share this. There's no action to be taken, but I do want to make sure that I'm letting you know there's a great liability with these cell phones with these young people when they're coming to school with them. And our goal is just to keep them out of the classroom and out of the arena where kids can look at them while they're at school. And that's the point for that.
All right, thank you.
Last thing is strategic plan. I wanted to show you how many people have been involved in our strategic planning. You guys know because I asked Mr. Johnson whenever he was board president if he would help me solicit some of our city council, because we had sent a letter to every city councilman asking them to provide names for the list to create this. Our last strategic plan had 12 categories, 15 goals. There were a total of 180 goals altogether. We completed 86% of that. On this sheet, you had a total of 991 people who had a direct impact on the plan from all parts of the community. You have the PDF at your disposal. There are 16 categories. There are 240 goals, which seems overwhelming. But when you talk about special education as its own category, they have 15 goals to accomplish over the next 5 years. 3 in technology, 3 in personnel, 3 in growth, 3 in facilities, and 3 in resources. So when you start looking at it, and none of these are written by myself or the administration, they're written by the people in our community. I've given you the outline for that. We also have hundreds of pages of documentation that we've shared with our facilities. I just put this here as an update on where we are. It's actually the 3rd one that we've written. And I spoke to someone who recently had a plan written in Florida. They paid $65,000 to get the plan written. Nowhere near this level of detail or this many stakeholders involved in writing it. And we were able to accomplish this for less than $8,000. So basically all we had to do is provide the meals for the days. Had over 300 people attend in person, even though it was COVID, broken into all these groups, 16 groups. So we're really proud of the final product that we've been able to achieve here. And I just wanted to share that with you, and I hope you can go through it. You have the condensed version of goals. The difference is you have your belief statements and your vision statements that are a part of each category. And then you have the actual goals that are written, and this has step strategies and budgets. So you have all that detail, and then they have worksheets at the end of it. So the whole plan is about 600 pages. But a lot of that is just worksheets that you're able to go back and work through. And each of these departments are responsible for their own section, 16 sections of the plan. And some of those are commingling. Nutrition and wellness are a slash, so they work together. So they don't have as many, but I think it very much pinpoints everything we need to do. One other thing I would point out is, if you look at our trajectory for performance, our trajectory is going up. And our last time we were evaluated, we had 7 A's, 7 B's, and 2 C's. We were 29 points away from an A as a district. When we started with our trajectory for our graduation rate, we're at 76%. We're now at 90%. So utilizing effective planning, we're able to accomplish a lot of goals and a lot of the intangibles that don't necessarily directly affect instruction, directly affect performance. That's the new facilities, the new resources for band, all of those things fit together. And it's a very equitable plan whenever you look across your whole district at what can be accomplished. So I just want to briefly share that with you guys, but I hope that you'll peruse that plan and give me some feedback on what you think about it.
Thank you. Moving on, do we have any visitors?
We have a visitor, but that visitor will be placed in executive session to discuss a disciplinary matter. And that person is Sheree Wade. She's an attorney, but that will be in executive session.
Moving on to the consent agenda.
All right. We're grouping several routine items into a single consent agenda. Any board member may be requested that any or all items on the consent agenda be removed and considered as separate items. No such request is made. All items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single action, motion, second vote of the Board of Trustees. Consent agenda for April 11th, 2022. Request for approval of consent agenda. Request for approval of board meeting minutes, March 10th, March 14th of 2022. Request for approval of personnel separations recommendations. Request for approval of student assignments and transfers. Request for approval of agreement for non-payment of maintenance funds and tuition for transfer students, Long Beach. Request for approval of donations and grants. Request for approval of removal of equipment from inventory and disposal. Request for approval of private transportation reimbursement contract. Request by parent. Request for approval of emergency purchase child nutrition. Request for approval of advertise for diesel and gasoline bids, FY 2023. Request for approval of gifted assessment staff. Request for approval of advertise for district depository. Request for approval of use facility, Pascagoula High School Performing Arts Center. Request for approval of use facility, Pascagoula High School Performing Arts Center. Request for use of online signature system for PAC and SRA contracts. Request for revision to board policy JGCBA. Request for approval of revision of policies Gary B, and Gary J. Request for approval of application certificates, request for approval of construction change directive, request for approval of 2022-2023 salary schedule for teachers. Request for approval of teacher supplements, request for approval of Fairchild Athletic Summit for 21-22. Request for approval of overnight field trip, CCPI. Request for approval of overnight field trip, UMS FAN. Request for approval of overnight field trip, DHS Speech Innovations. Request for approval of overnight field trip, DHS Environmental. Request for approval of overnight athletic field trip, JHS Tennis. Request for approval of overnight athletic field trip, DHS Boys Tennis. Request for approval of overnight athletic field trip, DHS Girls Powerlifting Team. Request for approval of superintendent.
All right, you heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Any discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Item 4, request for approval of the docket claims for March 2022.
Attached is the district document claims beginning with claim number 1875001 and 1876322 for the month of March 2022. Recommend the board of trustees ratify the payment of claims as presented in the attached docket of claims.
You heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve the docket claims? Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion on this item? All in favor of approving the docket claims, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing nay. Motion carries 4-0.
Next is informational reports.
Vandalism report, discipline, destruction, updates. Do you have any questions on anything? Construction. Brian, you got anything for everybody?
Lots of stuff bid. It's be a busy month in May, so get everything kicked off.
There is lots of stuff out to bid, or coming out to bid, I guess, but the HVAC improvements, everything on the schedule, all that, I know we have a couple of change order directives in. Hopefully we don't need any more temperature sensors. Everything looks good timeline-wise with that.
I did see some of the repairs that was shown, and I will tell you, they were pretty excited about those repairs. Keeping the water out of it, so they're really excited about that.
They look a lot better.
It
They go a
does.
long way.
It does. So I appreciate it. Moving on to item B, emergency connectivity fund program.
Pascagoula-Gautier School District has the opportunity to apply for the third round of the Emergency Connectivity Fund Program, ECF. This program provides funds for eligible program broadband connections used to help students, staff, and patrons who otherwise lack access to be able to engage in remote learning. PGSD will be applying for the hotspots for the 2022-2023 school year for students who are identified as having a lack of access at home This is presented as an informational item only.
Moving on to the monthly financial reports. We had an opportunity to review these prior to the meeting. Anybody have any questions for this experience? Everything looks good to me.
Thank you, Mr. Irving.
Any other questions on monthly financials? Moving on, to close meeting to determine the executive session. Do I have a motion to close the meeting to determine the executive session?
Mr. Irvin, I apologize for interrupting. Going back just for your information while we're still in regular session. On the strategic plan, there are 3 different mission statements for the overall plan. Those were mostly written by our student advisory, student advisory team. So that would be something that we would like you guys to look at and tell us where you think, that direction together. We will send a copy to the new superintendent, so he'll go and review all this as well.
All right. Do I have a second to?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of closing the meeting to determine the executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say my nay. Hearing none, motion carries 4-0. And get ready for executive session. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I don't have to.